Hi, everybody. I'm back in person. Feeling a lot better. Took some time, probably almost half a week to recover, but I am eager to continue the Exeter campaign, this time in person. So let's continue our session. So I cut off the last recording right before the session conclusion, and this is the XP we were rewarded. Mars got 100, Brock got 75, and obviously the usual session campaign log. So, our next steps, we got to resolve the confrontation between Mars, Brock, and the others. We have to determine the outcome of the Ember Stones, the Ember Stone's ability to even function now, because I think the arrow has shattered it to an extent. And we don't know much of its power in the Emperor's Vault. So that's a few things on our mind as we move forward. So let's begin. Let's continue. How do things unfold? What do we do next? There's also been some modifications to the instructions. I now am going about it as a text or a choose your own adventure style. So we'll see how it works out. It's more of an experiment just for this session. Okay, so some policy violations as usual. Let's play it back.
Ritual chamber, the betrayal in motion. Time of day, around 5:45 p.m. The chamber is chaos. The shattered rhythm of the drums has been replaced by the disoriented shouting of the masked cultists, their guttural voices rising in panic. The emberstone on its pedestal vibrates violently, the runes on the altar flickering and sparking with unstable energy. Kalen, Lareth, and Thrain stand frozen at the edge of the tunnel, caught off guard by the chaos below. Their shock turns to fury as Kalen locks eyes with Mars, her daggers gleaming. "You've ruined everything," she snarls. The cultists whirl around, their masked faces focusing on the figures at the tunnel above. Their guttural chanting twists into a battle cry as they raise their weapons, clearly preparing to attack Kalen's group. Mars and Brock stand amidst the chaos, the cultists oblivious to their presence for the moment. The room feels like a powder keg ready to explode. Options for Mars and Brock: engage the cultists while they're distracted, strike the disoriented cultists to reduce their numbers before Kalen's group can react. Turn the cultists against Kalen further, deception or persuasion, District of Columbia 14, escalate the conflict between the cultists and Kalen's group, keeping Mars and Brock out of the immediate fight. Focus on the emberstone, attempt to destroy or retrieve the unstable artifact while everyone else is distracted, but risk further consequences. What's the plan?
I like 3, but 2, I think, is in line with our last action. So let's stick with 2. So deception or persuasion. Let's try, I think, Mars perhaps? Persuasion? Man, he's -1. Deception. Oh, +1. Okay, we'll try Brock. Okay, 9. Okay. Number 2, we'll try to escalate the conflict. Brock had a persuasion roll of 9, which means it does not work in our favor. Hmm.
It seems there's an issue saving the log as a file. Here are the
Ritual chamber. Time of day, around 5:50 p.m. Brock's persuasion roll, 9, fail. Brock steps forward, his voice booming to carry over the chaos. "They're the ones you want. Look at him, They came here to steal your precious stone. Take 'em out. The cultists pause momentarily, their masked faces turning toward Brock as they process his words. For a fleeting second, it seems like the tension might shift further toward Kalen's group. But one of the masked figures steps forward, slamming a staff into the ground with a sharp, resounding crack. Its guttural voice rises in defiance, pointing toward both Brock and the tunnel above. All intruders die. None may touch the emberstone. The cultists roar in unison, splitting their attention between Mars and Brock on the chamber floor and Kalen's group in the tunnel above. Weapons are raised, and chaos erupts again as the cultists charge in both directions. Kalen's furious voice rings out from the tunnel. You're only making this worse for yourselves, Mars. The scene. The cultists are attacking both Mars and Brock and Kalen's group, splitting their forces. The emberstone continues to vibrate and pulse erratically, the runes sparking more violently. The chamber is now an open battlefield, with multiple threats converging.
Great.
Options. Focus on defending against the cultists. Engage the attacking cultists to clear the immediate threats. Make a move for the emberstone. Attempt to retrieve or destroy the unstable artifact amidst the chaos. Try to reach Kalen's group. Force a confrontation with the betrayers while the cultists are distracted. What's Mars and Brock's next move?
We'll focus on defending ourselves from the incoming cultists. Do we roll for initiative? Combat begins. Nice, we have all the stats, which is part of my instructions. It looks like it already did the turn order.
Ritual chamber in
Okay.
time of day. As the cultists charge, their guttural cries echoing off the stone walls, Mars and Brock braced themselves. The masked figures, clad in jagged, obsidian-like armor, wield crude but deadly weapons, wicked-looking spears, heavy clubs, and bone-tipped knives. Their movements are frantic yet precise, driven by a fanatical devotion to the Emberstone. Brock steps forward, planting himself as a solid wall of defense. "Stay behind me, Mars. Let's show these fanatics what real fighters can do." His great axe glints in the flickering light as he roars a challenge. Mars positions himself just behind Brock, his longbow nocked and ready. They're coming fast. Let's thin their numbers before they overwhelm us. Combat begins. Enemies. Cultists 4. AC 13, HP 20 each. Charging toward Mars and Brock. Cultist Leader 1. AC 15, HP 35. Commanding from the rear but slowly advancing. Turn order. 1 Mars, 2. Cultists. 3. Brock. 4. Cultist Lee's turn. Mars has his longbow ready, with 4 charging cultists as potential targets. He can aim to take one out or focus on disrupting their formation. What's Mars's move? Roll for attack and let me know.
This will be difficult because of our insane choices. So let's go to actions here and choose to attack our longbow. Nice, 25. Mars longbow attack roll of 25. Okay.
Mars's attack roll, 25, hit. Mars's arrow flies straight and true, piercing the flickering shadow.
Okay. Damage roll of 8. 8. 8. That could have been far beyond policy violation. Maybe. I gotta speak up. A lot of policy violations. Maybe I put in instructions to keep things PG-13, not to violate the policies, which is doing on itself. These are not from my words but its own. So,
Mars's damage, 8 total. The arrow slams.
okay, I think it makes sense. The arrow hits. The four cultists close in the distance quickly, fanning around, so we're being surrounded at this point. To target Brock, to target Mars, rolling their attacks, to attack spears. As always, narrate the results. I don't let it use Python because it keeps crashing, which I think is because of the amount of context it has right now in the window. Because in other conversations I have, when I try to use Python, like other test runs with my D&D stuff, it's able to process Python code instantly, but not in this specific conversation.
Ritual chamber in time of day. As the cultists charge,
It keeps lagging in
Cultists'
terms.
attack results. Against Brock. The first cultist lunges with their spear, but Brock effortlessly swats the weapon aside with his great AXE, the strike clattering harmlessly against the stone floor. The second cultist's attack is better aimed, the spear glancing off Brock's armor. The strikes are relentless, but his thick dwarven resilience holds firm. Against Mars.
Mars. Okay.
One cultist slashes wildly with a bone-tipped knife, their erratic movements making him easy to dodge. Mars sidesteps the blow with precision. The second cultist, however, presses in close and lands a glancing strike across Mars's arm. The wound is shallow, but it leaves a faint sting. Mars takes 3 piercing damage. Brock's turn. Brock stands surrounded, his great AXE raised high. He growls, "You call that a fight? I'll show you how it's done." His rage builds as he prepares to strike. What's Brock's move? Does he attack one of the cultists or take another action?
Yep.
Let me know his attack roll.
The Great Axe. 19. Not bad. 24 total. Great Axe attack roll of 24. If we can thumb this down because it didn't violate the policy.
Brock's attack roll 24 hit. Brock's great axe arcs through the air with devastating force, aimed squarely at one of the cultists surrounding him. The cultist's mask shifts slightly as they attempt to dodge, but the massive blade comes down too fast to evade. Roll for damage. 1d12 plus 3 for the great axe, plus 2 for rage if Brock is raging.
Ooh.
And let me know the total.
14 damage total. That's a heck of a hit. Fantastic.
Brock's attack roll 24 hit.
Brock's
great axe arcs through the air with devastating force, aimed squarely at one of the cultists surrounding him. The cultist's mask shifts slightly.
Okay. Not sure who's talking right now, but I'll wait till it's done. Don't like that autoplay feature sometimes. Okay, Brock's damage, it's right here. So he does 14 damage.
Brock's damage, 14 total. Brock's great AXE cleaves into the cultist with a sickening crunch, cutting through their jagged armor and sending them crumpling to the ground in a lifeless heap. The remaining cultists falter for a moment, their fanatical cries briefly giving way to hesitation as they see the brute force of Brock's strike. Brock lets out a fierce roar, raising his bloodied axe. Who's next? Cultist leader's turn. From the rear of the chamber, the cultist leader raises their staff, slamming it into the ground. The sound reverberates through the chamber as their guttural chant grows louder. A faint, fiery glow envelops the remaining cultists, bolstering their movements. Cultists gain +2 to damage on their next turn. The leader steps forward slowly, their focus on Mars and Brock, clearly preparing to join the fray. Next turn. Mars is up. The cultist leader is closing in but remains out of melee range. 2 cultists remain engaged with Mars and 1 with Brock, bolstered by the leader's chant. What's Mars's next move? Attack, reposition, or something else? Let me know.
23. Mars tries to use his longbow at the leader. Attack roll of 23. Longboat. All right.
Mars attack roll, 23. Mars quickly shifts his focus, ignoring the cultists surrounding him to draw a bead on the leader. His longbow hums as he releases the arrow, aiming for the robed figure advancing toward the fray. Roll for damage, 1d8 plus 3 for the longbow, and let me know the result.
Damage of 6. 6. No. Damage of 6. Come on. AIDS and then that. Don't my channel get banned.
Mars's damage, 6 total. The arrow strikes the cultist leader squarely in the shoulder, tearing through the jagged armor and forcing them to stagger. Their chanting falters for a moment, and the fiery aura surrounding the other cultists flickers. They snarl, gripping their staff tightly as they regain their composure, the glowing eyes narrowing on Mars. Kalen, still observing from the tunnel above, smirks faintly. Looks like you've caught their attention. Cultists turn. The remaining cultists press their attack, spurred on by the leader's presence. 1 cultist targets Mars with their bone-tipped knife, aiming to capitalize on his distraction. 1 cultist targets Brock with their spear, their movements bolder after seeing the leader's power. Attack results. Against Mars, the cultist lunges with a wild swing, but Mars deftly sidesteps the attack, the blade glancing off his armor. Against Brock, the spear jabs toward Brock, but his towering presence and ferocious stance make it easy to deflect, the weapon harmlessly clattering against his axe. Brock's turn. With 1 cultist still locked in combat with him and the leader advancing, Brock has...
Okay, well good. We didn't take any damage there, so usual. Great axe. Brock attempts to retaliate against the nearest cultist. Attack roll of 9. Which is no good. Firebolt. Yikes.
Nine. Brock swings his great axe in a wide arc, but the remaining cultist ducks under the blade at the last moment. The heavy axe bites into
Ah,
the stone floor, sending a shower of sparks flying. The cultist hisses in defiance, emboldened by their narrow escape. Brock growls, wrenching the axe free. Hold still, you coward. Cultist leader's turn. The leader, now injured but undeterred, raises their staff high. The fiery glow enveloping their body surges outward, creating a wave of heat that rolls through the chamber. The remaining cultists' movements grow more frenzied as their weapons ignite with a faint orange flame. The leader points their staff at Mars, their guttural voice rising in a guttural chant. A fiery bolt streaks through the air, aimed directly at him. Attack roll. Firebolt. 1d20 plus 5. The fiery bolt strikes true if Mars's AC is 15 or lower. Otherwise it misses. Let me know Mars's AC.
Mars's AC is 15. I do have an idea here, a twist and possibly one of the character deaths. Story hack, because this, like I said, is a co-op with the experimental choose your own adventure. Fire damage, okay. So it just tells me how much damage I can roll for that. I'm okay with that.
Cultist leader's attack. Firebolt hits. The fiery bolt slams into Mars's side, the heat searing through his armor and leaving a painful scorch mark. Damage roll. Mars takes 1d10 fire damage. The cultist leader's chant grows louder, the flames in the chamber flickering wildly. Status update. Mars, hit by the firebolt, current HP pending damage. Brock, locked in melee with a cultist, ready to retaliate. Injured but still empowering their followers. Remaining cultists, 2, 1 engaged with Mars and 1 with Brock, emboldened by the leader's fiery magic. What's Mars's HP after damage, and what's the group's next move? Mars's turn is up. Attack, reposition, or something else.
Mars's HP right now is down to 5 out of 16, but now we have a hack in the story. Suddenly, the beast that Brock befriended from earlier burst out of the tunnel from behind of the betrayed team, crashing into one of the team members, perhaps Thalen, and jumping down onto the floor in front of Brock, joining them in battle, as it supposedly sensed Brock was in danger. This also injured Thalen. Thalen. Okay, I wanted this beast to come back because it has to be relevant to an extent. It's been a while, so Highland jumping. There we go. It understood what I was saying. Nice. This is exactly what I had in mind. Still trying to figure out how to kill off one of the other characters.
Ritual chamber, the beast joins the fray. Time of day, around 6 p.m. A sudden, thunderous roar echoes through the chamber, cutting through the chaos. From the tunnel behind Kalen's group, the beast Brock had freed earlier bursts into view, its glowing eyes ablaze with fury. The creature charges forward, its claws scraping against the stone as it slams into Lareth, sending the archer sprawling against the tunnel wall with a cry of pain. Kalen turns, her daggers raised in shock. What the? Her words are cut off as the beast swipes at her, its claws raking across her arm, leaving deep gashes. She stumbles, blood staining her armor as she glares at the creature. You brought that thing here, Brock. The beast snarls, leaping down into the chamber. It lands heavily in front of Brock, its glowing eyes locking onto him for a brief moment before turning its attention to the cultists. The creature's presence is undeniable, fierce,
Companion.
protective, and ready for battle. Brock grins, gripping his great axe tighter. Guess it liked me after all. Let's tear these fanatics apart. The scene shifts. Kalen's group, disrupted and injured, Lareth and Kalen are temporarily out of the fight, and Thrain is left to recover his footing. The beast, standing alongside Brock, ready to attack the cultists. The cultists, 2 remain engaged with Mars and Brock, while the leader watches the beast warily, their fiery chant faltering slightly. Options. Command the beast to attack, animal handling, District of Columbia 13. Direct the creature to focus on a specific target. Let the beast act independently. Allow the creature to choose its own target while Mars and Brock focus on their enemies. Focus on regrouping. Take advantage of the distraction to reposition and recover before continuing the fight. What's Mars and Brock's next move?
Whose turn was it technically? Let's see. I think it was Mars. Yep. Okay. Brock will let the creature act independently. Mars will use his longbow at the nearest cultist this time. Attack roll of 14. I don't know if that's enough, though. I don't recall the stats of the cultists. Let's see, where are they? AC. Okay, we get that hits the cultist. Good. Oh, that's why. That's a hit.
Mars's attack roll, 14. Mars, gritting his teeth through the pain of the fiery bolt, quickly nocks another arrow and fires at the nearest cultist. The arrow streaks through the air, striking
Got the
true.
heal.
Roll for damage, 1d8 plus 3 for the longbow, and let me know the result. Meanwhile, the beast charges into the fray independently, deciding its next move.
Damage roll of 8. Will the dungeon master allow Mars to heal himself with a spell? Probably not.
Mars's attack roll, 14.
Mars's damage.
Mars, gritting his teeth through the pain of the fiery bolt,
Okay. So, damage done. Healing magic provides a spelling slot remaining. However, since Mars uses action turn, he'll need to wait until his next turn to cast a spell. Can still prepare to reposition, single in group, use bonus action if applicable before the turn ends. Yeah, beast action. The beast acts independently. Lets out a thunderous roar. Kills a cultist. It slashes with a barrel precision. Aiming to disrupt the leader's chant. The leader staggers as the beast's claws rake across their armor, leaving deep gashes and interrupting the fairy glow surrounding their staff. The cultist chanting falters again, their composure shaken. Okay, engage combat. Down to 5. Optional heal next turn. Still locked in melee, the final cultist. Oh, okay, so that's the final cultist. Beast wounded into the cultist later, disrupting the chant. Kalen's group temporarily weakened out of possession due to beast ambush. Okay, Brock is going to finish off the last cultist if possible. Nice. Brock, attack roll of 17 on the final cultist.
Brock's attack roll, 17. Brock roars as he swings his great axe at the final cultist. The blade arcs through the flickering light of the chamber, aiming to end the fight. Roll for damage, 1d12 plus 3 plus 2 for rage.
Okay. Oops. 10. Sorry. We'll stick with 10. Damage roll of 10. That's pretty common. You're next. It's like those reusable character animations in Dragon Ball Budokai games. They say the same thing between character selections. Let's see which. So once remaining enemies is the leader. Mars react. Kalen the group still recovering. They're still recovering. Focus on cultist leader. Regroup. Recover. So whose turn is it? Let's see. Mars. 8. Mars uses Cure Wounds on himself. Heals 8 HP. I might as well take a nap if it's going to be this slow at this point. Perhaps. Oh, it's doing memory. Okay. I don't know why. Right. Thanks. I will have to put instruction in the rules not to use memory too often.
Mars's action, casting Cure Wounds. Mars steps back briefly, placing a hand over his scorched side as he mutters the incantation for Cure Wounds. A soothing green light radiates from his palm, knitting his wounds and restoring his strength. Healing roll. Roll 1d8 plus wisdom modifier to determine how much HP Mars regains. Let
8.
me know the total. Meanwhile, Brock and the Beast keep the cultist leader occupied, their combined presence putting immense pressure on the faltering foe. The leader's chanting is now erratic, and their fiery aura flickers weakly. What does Brock do next? Strike the leader or prepare for another move?
Hmm. The heal was 8. Brock attempts to attack the leader. Which is not enough. Memory? Mm. Okay, that has to be fixed. It looks like it's only tracking information regarding the character's status. Actually, that does make sense, though it's in chronological order. Okay. Well, maybe that is useful for itself. Oh yeah, damage. Let's see, what was it? 12. Attack roll of 12. Miss, as expected.
Brock's attack roll. Brock's great axe swings with incredible force, but the cultist leader, despite their weakened state, manages to sidestep the strike at the last moment. The blade slams into the stone floor, sending sparks flying, but the leader remains standing, their fiery aura flickering faintly. The cultist leader snarls, gripping their staff tightly as they prepare to counter. Status update. Back to a stronger state after healing, ready to rejoin the fight. Positioned near the cultist leader, keeping them under pressure. Beast, circling the cultist leader, preparing to strike again. Kalen's group, watching from above, their movement suggesting they're regaining their footing. Cultist leader's turn. The cultist leader slams their staff into the ground again, a surge of heat radiating outward as they summon another fiery bolt, this time aiming at Brock. Attack roll. The fiery bolt strikes if Brock's AC is 15 or lower. Let me know, and we'll resolve the damage.
Brock's AC is 16.
Cultist leader's firebolt. The fiery bolt streaks toward Brock, but he sidesteps with a grunt, the flames scorching the air just inches from his armor. The blast slams into the stone wall behind him, leaving a faint scorch mark, but doing no harm. Brock grins, gripping his great axe tightly. You'll have to do better than that. Status update. The cultist leader is on the defensive, their fiery magic faltering under the combined pressure of Mars, Brock, and the beast. The flames around their staff flicker weakly, and their movements grow sluggish. Kaelin's group continues to watch from the shadows above, their intentions unclear. Next turn, Mars is up next. Will he strike the cultist leader, target...
Okay. Story hack. The group above, Kaelin and others, attempt to retrieve the broken Emberstone. Mars will take a last-ditch action and use his arrow to shoot at the remaining Emberstone. Seeing them running down the path towards the Emberstone, the leader is fighting with Brock and the Beast. He'll take the longbow and fire it at the remaining pieces of the Emberstone, whatever's left of it. Probably still enchanted, but we'll have to destroy it before they get to it. 18. Looks like we're getting another memory update here. Corey hack. Corey Matthews steps in. Come on. Oh, looks like... Okay, there we go. Oh, wow, that's much faster than I expected. We're just caught up.
Ritual chamber, the fractured embers time of day, around 6:10 p.m. As the cultist leader staggers, their fiery aura flickering weakly, Kaelin's sharp voice cuts through the chaos. Lareth, Thrain, get the Emberstone now! Mars catches the movement out of the corner of his eye. Kaelin and her group are making their move, weaving through the chaos toward the shattered altar and the pulsating Emberstone. Its fractured surface glows erratically, the instability sending small shockwaves of heat and light across the chamber. Mars quickly nocks an arrow, narrowing his eyes. Not happening, he mutters, letting the arrow fly toward the fractured artifact. Roll for Mars' attack, 1d20 plus 5 for the longbow, let me know the result. If it hits, we'll resolve the outcome of his bold action.
Attack roll of 25. Nice. We destroyed it. Perfect. Ooh, wow. That was a kind of like a critical hit. Okay, while it's trying to think, arrow strikes the chaos. It passes unwavering as it slams at the fractured Emberstone. The impact sends a fearing, deafening crack through the chamber as its already unstable artifact vibrates violently. Its fiery glow intensifies into a blinding burst of light. The Emberstone explodes with raw, untamed energy, sending shockwaves rippling through the room. The altar shatters into pieces, the runes carved into the surface flaring and disintegrating. The wave of heat engulfs the chamber, throwing Kaelin, Lareth, and Thrain backward with cries of pain. The cultist leader, caught in the blast, is consumed by the fear explosion, their screams echoing as their bodies reduced to ash. The remaining cultists collapse to the ground, lifeless as the energy once sustained them is snuffed out. The aftermath. Kaelin's group injured, disoriented, the three struggle to recover from the explosion. Both are thrown backward by the blast, but the distance from the altar shields them from the worst of the heat. The Emberstone reduced to fragments, power dissipating into the air. The beast roars defiantly, standing in the ground despite the chaos is glowing as we thump rock. The chamber falls eerily silent, save for the faint crackling of the lingering embers. All right, so alive but shaken, regain their footing. The betrayers are weak and vulnerable. Cultist completely defeated. Emberstone destroyed. Leave the chamber. Well, what do we do? Story hack. After all of that, let's say one of the betrayers dies. Just from that blast alone. Oh, can I not use that word? Okay, let's try again. I'm guessing this one might violate the policy. It's doing a memory update. One of the betrayers. Okay. Wonder who it is. RIP eventually. Let's do Dust. It's probably gonna be one of the minor characters. Thrain. Wow. Okay. So Thrain's dead.
Ritual chamber. The betrayers fall. Time of day. As the dust settles and the glowing embers fade, a pained groan echoes from near the shattered altar. Kaelin stirs weakly, her hand clutching her side as she forces herself to sit up, blood streaking her armor. Lareth, leaning heavily against a broken piece of the altar, coughs violently, his bow lying forgotten on the ground. Thrain, however, does not move. His body lies crumpled near the altar, his hammer still clutched in one hand. The explosion had torn through him, leaving deep burns across his armor. His once defiant stance is now eerily still. Kaelin crawls toward him, her voice breaking. "Thrain up! Get up, damn it!" But there's no response. The sturdy dwarf who had stood against countless threats is gone. The scene. Gravely injured and disoriented, their betrayal now a hollow endeavor. Thrain, dead, his life claimed by the fiery blast of the shattered emberstone. Mars and Brock, standing amidst the wreckage, now holding the advantage. The beast, growling softly, its glowing eyes watching Kaelin and Lareth like a predator waiting for the right moment. Options for Mars and Brock. 1. Confront Kaelin and Lareth, demand answers or settle the score for their betrayal. 2. Leave the chamber, exit while the betrayers are weakened and unable to pursue. 3. Focus on the Emberstone fragments. Investigate the remnants of the artifact for any lingering clues or power. What's the group's next move?
Mars and Brock will confront Kaelin and Lareth. Brock will tell the beast to hold on, to sit like a dog. Mars will remain distant, but tell Kaelin and Lareth this could have all been avoided if we worked together. They'll probably fight back, but apparently they are heavily injured too. All right, that will take a while to develop, so let's play it back.
Ritual chamber, the confrontation. Time of day, Brock steps forward, his great axe still at the ready, but his focus shifts to the beast at his side. He places a firm hand on its head, his voice low but commanding. "Easy, boy. Sit, stay." The beast growls softly but obeys, lowering itself onto its haunches. Its glowing eyes remain fixed on Kaelin and Lareth, watching their every movement like a predator stalking its prey. Mars, keeping his distance, speaks up, his voice calm but sharp. "This could have all been avoided, Kaelin. If we'd worked together, none of this would have happened. Thrain didn't have to die. You didn't have to lose everything for nothing." Kaelin glares at Mars, her face pale from blood loss, but her defiance still burns. "You think this is my fault? I did what I had to. The Emberstone, it was worth everything. You don't understand its power, its potential." Lareth coughs weakly, struggling to sit upright. We had a plan. It would have worked if you hadn't interfered." Brock
Pesky
growls, his voice
kids with
booming.
that dog.
"Your plan got Thrain killed and left you both broken. And for what? Look around. It's gone. Whatever power you were after, it's gone." Kaelin slams her fist against the ground, her voice cracking. "Shut up! You don't know what I've lost, the scene." Defiant but clearly shaken, her anger masking her grief over Thrain. Lareth, injured and subdued, his usual sharpness dulled by pain and despair. Mars and Brock, standing strong, holding the upper hand. The beast, calm but alert, waiting for Brock's next command. Options for Mars and Brock. One in
Okay, so I'm trying to find a spot where to put the companion, the pet for Brock. I thought there was a spot here. Extras, manage extras, companions, sidekick, creature. There we go. So beast companion. Uh, it's, you know what? Let's ask the AI. I'm adding the beast companion to Brock's character sheet. What kind of beast is it? If it's from the 2014 rules. Let's see. There's a bunch here. And then we'll close the session off for today. Okay. So a dire wolf. Okay, let's see if we have that here. Dire wolf. Yep, there it is. Basic rules, monster manual, large beast. Let's see how they classified as. Which one seems to be? I'm going to say this one. All right, so we have a dire wolf. I don't think I can edit or anything. It has its own stats already built in. Cool. With a few modifications based on the lore. All right. 15 natural, that's what it does have. Looks like AC 16, 14. Okay. Cool. Yeah, not too worried about the very specific details, but perfect. Direwolf has been added as a companion. Let's close off the session with the usual procedure, XP and session notes. No coding. Okay, here is session 8 notes. So XP wise, looks like Mars gets a bit more. Mars always seems to get a bit more, maybe because he's the leader in a way. Clear that. So add 150 to, actually, that might just be worth typing in. 150, I'm getting close, halfway there. And then for Brock, with the companion officially, 125. Let's do here, 125. Okay, they're both roughly halfway to the next level. And both are slightly injured, just barely. Okay, that's it for today's session. Hope you guys enjoyed that very monumental finish. The next session, we'll see how our little conversation goes with the betrayers. Thanks for watching.